Okay, so this is the video I've been waiting to make. I'm really keen to get some colour into the indentations that we made with the textured clay. Before I do that, I'm just going to sand the edges of the trinket tray and make it nice and smooth how I want it. Same with the heart, and then I'll show you how we apply the colour to get this finish here where the colour sinks into the indentations and we wipe away the excess. You're going to need some colour, some water and a sponge and a nice little paintbrush to get into the grooves. Okay, so I've had my acrylic paint inside a plastic bag, and that's the great thing about it, it stays still usable. And I've got my little paintbrush and I'm just going to paint into all of the little grooves to make sure that it is all in place. And once you've got it on, and I wouldn't do it all, I'd do a section because you don't want it to dry out too much. So just pop the glue, so I've chosen red, like this, into the grooves. And then using the sponge, get it nice and wet, and you're going to sponge away the excess. It takes a bit of work, so don't feel like you've failed. Keep at it, and you'll see it gets the top layer to be wiped away. And try and make sure it's a flat sponge, so you're just coming across the top of the surface. You don't want to be washing out the colour from the leaves. So once you've done that, remember you're making the clay wet, so it's going to need to dry out again. But once you've done that, add some more paint to the other side. You might want some fresh water to do this side, and then wipe it all over with a clean sponge, and it should leave you with the effect we're after. If you feel like you've wiped too much away, just add a bit more in, have another go. So I'm going to take this to the sink so that I can rinse my sponge well in between wipes, and then I shall show you what it looks like. Okay, so there it is. That's exactly the look I was going for. Now it's made the clay quite wet, so I'm going to need to leave it to dry for a couple of days before I glaze it. And I'm going to do the same effect, but with this tray here, and I'm going to use blue acrylic on this one. So I'm just going to mine that one out of the way. Grab myself a brush that I can use with the blue, and then I'm just going to brush over the blue and get it into all the nooks and crannies. Takes a bit of work to get it into these little crevices. And again, you don't want it to dry, because once it's dry it's kind of set, so you need to work quite quickly. And once you've got it where you want it, then you're going to wipe it away. Can you see? Like so. So I'll keep going, get it all in, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so here it is. There is a lot of wiping, and it gets quite wet, so you need to be delicate with it so you don't damage it in any way. And now it's got to be left to dry before it can be glazed. And of course, once it's dry, if you want to finish the edges with a white, or perhaps paint the bottom white, you can do any of those things, but just let this section of it dry before you do any more finishing off. So I hope you enjoy adding some colour into the textured pieces that we made, and you can see that we have managed to recreate this kind of coloured textured look.